All right, so it's an MREA Monday inside Pivot Shift Ahead, and we're doing this every Monday for the rest of the year just to make sure we truly understand the book. We treat it like a manual, we get the concepts, and then we chat about them and learn from them because in this market that matters. So I want to jump into something today that's foundational, and it's easy when we get foundational. You can go, "Oh, I got this," but I want you to listen to some key pieces that might stick out to you as we look at this foundational piece from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and that is understanding the foundational models. There's 3 L's. You all know them, and I trust you get them in order. It's leads, listings, and leverage. And I want to unpack these three because in this business, it's easy to get distracted. I just want to remind you, it is easy to get distracted by things that are outside the 3 L's. And when you get distracted from outside the 3 L's and take your eye off the 3 L's, the business starts to decline. So let's take a look at the first one. And the first one is leads. And there's a key piece. If you have your MREA book, if you can go to page 40. If you don't have your MREA book, don't worry, I'm going to read it to you. But hold on now, just a second. I have to stop because we have someone who's not on mute, 2 people who aren't on mute. So I got to go do that. Bree, I got to make you co-host because I can't mute and share screen at the same time. So if you can help me with that, that would be great. All right. And y'all, if you'll stay on mute, if you aren't actively sharing, that would bring me joy and happiness. All right. So let's go into the 3 L's. The first one's leads. Listen, I want you to listen to this one thing that's on page 40 and then goes into page 41 that really should be a red alert for you. Red alert, red alert, red alert, or as Bill Gallagher would say, TP, top priority. Bottom of page 40. To succeed in real estate, you must have client leads. It's that simple. Okay, you get that. That's the part that's on the screen. But the part they left off the screen was this part. Until you have enough leads to meet or exceed your goals, there is no other issue. Until you have enough leads to meet or exceed your goals, there is no other issue. Now, here's what has become abundantly aware to me in today's market is that you're lacking leads. You just straight up don't have enough leads in the pipeline. And if you don't have enough leads in the pipeline, the majority of your time must be spent searching for them. A majority of your time must be spent doing things that will deepen the pipeline. About a year ago, I had a call with Gary and I asked him, are you finding that agents are anxious or nervous in today's market? I said, because I am. I get on Pivot Shift Ahead every day and we talk every day and I can just feel the anxiety and stress level up a little bit. Are you noticing the same thing? And he said, yes. Of course, Gary is meeting with the top 200 and masterminding with people to prepare for a mega camp. He's talking to the top of the top in our company. And he tells me that he's finding that people have anxiety and stress about today's market. And I said, well, why do you think that is? And he said, because it's one of 2 things. Either they don't have enough reserves or they don't have enough leads or both. And I think a lot of you, your lead pipeline is really shallow. And Gary is telling you, if you don't have enough leads to reach your goal, then that is your only problem. You've got to go make sure that you pump your pipeline full of leads. And people go, well, what kind of leads? What kind of leads do I want? I want to have as many leads as possible, but what kind are the right kind? Listings. Listing leads are the right kind. Listing leads are the right kind. We want to pump the pipeline full of listing leads. And here's why. Bottom page 41. This gets hidden sometimes. People forget about this. A highly productive individual. What kind of person? Put it in the chat. A highly productive what? Individual. Can personally obtain 15 to 25 seller listings per month. Did you get the number? A highly productive who? Individual can what? Personally obtain. How many? 15 to 25 seller listings per month. That same agent would be hard-pressed to sell homes to 7 or 8 buyers a month for any prolonged period of time. Gary is telling us we've got to first and foremost, that's what he says in the book, concentrating on listings first and foremost. Listen to what he says. When you concentrate on listings first and foremost, you could potentially double or triple your gross income for the same amount of work. 25, what is it? 15 to 25 sellers, 5 to 7 buyers? Come on. The last L. Last L is the one you get most excited about and I'm least interested in for most of you. You get most excited about this one and I'm least interested in it for most of you, and that's leverage. He says it's three pieces of leverage: people, systems, and tools. People's the who, systems the how, tools are the what. By far, the most important is people, and people starts with you. That's what I would say. People starts with you. Are you maximizing your own productivity? Are you maximizing your own opportunity? Are you filling the lead pipeline full of seller listings? And then as it gets deep, are you adding the right people to assist you? That's it, but it's leads, listings, and leverage. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning. I obviously love the three L's, so much so that as a team years ago, we built a really detailed GPS. So your annual goal, your priorities, and your strategies or steps in order to achieve that goal. And we base that GPS on our annual production, our number of families served. And then I heard this years ago, and I love sharing it, is then each of our priorities are the three L's. So the first priority before anything else happens is the leads. So how many leads do I need? And then what are we going to do in order to generate the number of leads that we need? So you don't move on. The cool thing about a GPS is if you really nail that first priority, all the rest works out and you'll
Be good,
be
Rosie. I'll be home soon.
okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, Jenny. You're exactly right. Apologize for the interruption, but leads comes first. And that, by the way, I think for your team probably, does that help make the decision-making process easier during the day? Like if they don't have enough leads in the morning, then it's pretty obvious what they need to be doing first.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's already a standard on our team is the number of conversations that we have each day. And then it's tracked and shouted out at the end of the day in a group Slack channel. So, I mean, people ask like, well, how do you know? Well, you know if it's the right number if you're hitting your goal or not. And if you're not achieving your goal, then you need more lead generation and conversations and follow-ups.
Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate it. Hey, Jess, good morning.
Hey, morning, friend. I just wanted to say, I think it's really important that even if you see people in, pretty predominant rooms or selling a ton of houses, it doesn't always mean that they're super profitable. And I think it's really crucial for all of you to track your money weekly, to visit your expenses, see what you can cut, see what's bringing you a return and what isn't, and be willing to make the change if it's not working out. Give it time and be honest with what you've been plugging into and what you haven't, but hold your money accountable. That's what most people don't do. Then you'll know you have the profits because that's why people get scared first, just like you said. And then it's the leads next. So if you have the profits, that you are more comfortable in getting those leads and you're not commission breath driven when you do that. So I think it's really important just to always visit your money, always track your net worth, be willing to have a list of things you can cut at any moment and other opportunities to pour into should you be looking for a new path just to invest in leads. That's it.
Thanks, Jess. It's really smart. We're going to get into economic model and budget model later on down the line, but I will tell you that if your reserves are shallow, you do need to cut, and you cut in your personal life before you cut in your business because the business funds the personal. So you get rid of Hulu and Paramount Plus and quit going to Starbucks every other day. And those are the things you cut first because that stuff adds up so that your reserves can grow deeper. And then you can remove the stress of the reserves and allow you to put more time focus on the lead gen. Thanks, Jess. Kristen Jungles, good morning.
Good morning, James. Thanks for covering MREA on Mondays. This is the foundation of building your business. And like Jenny, my GPS goals, priorities, and strategies are based on leads, listings, and leverage. And if you're not doing the first two columns, leads and listings, it doesn't matter about leverage. You don't need that. But it starts with the leads. I had someone shadow me at one of my open houses over the weekend, and I was talking to her about building a business, and her goal was $80,000, right? So stay with me on the math. And so I'd said to her, well, with expenses and everything else, you need to be generating 125,000. And at her price point, we knew that it was $5 million in volume. And so we take that number and we broke it down, and she needs to close 18 pieces of business in order to be able to get that. And so Gary Keller tells us that we should be able to convert 10% of our database every single year if we're keeping in touch with them systematically. So at first glance, you would think, oh, I need 18, I need 180 people. And that's not true, because as Jenny just spoke about, you have to know what your conversions are. And not every listing is going to sell. Not every listing appointment you go on is going to result in a listing. Not every appointment you set is going to stick. So how many appointments do you actually have to set in order to be able to serve 18 families? And the number is 42. So I said to her, I'm like, where is there a business, like a dentist, an attorney, that you could go on 42 appointments over the course of the entire year and be able to serve 18 people? And the reality is there isn't, but the hustle is on the 42. So I asked her, how many people do you have in command? And she, she only had 150 people in command. I'm like, so the reality is you don't have the leads to be able to generate the business. So you have a goal of how many families served, but you have to back into that to say, what are the leads that I actually need in order to do that? So I said, your one thing is that first column now. So your leads goal, your leads priority is 420 people. So that if you convert it 10%, do the math. And so I think it all comes down to, when you're looking at the good book here, is that you need to know your numbers. You need to know how many people you need to serve how many leads you need. And then you can figure out, based on that goal, how many listings do I need to carry at all times? Because I love the exceptional person at 15 to 25. But the reality is you may only need to have 4 listings every single month in order to be able to hit your goal. So work through the numbers on the leads and listings priorities that you set on your GPS, and then go to work.
What you have is a business that's based on something that has foundation to it and is not just made up. And so many agents say things like, I'm going to do 24 transactions, but that's not founded in anything. That's not based in anything. I want to make $100,000, but it's not based in anything. And then they never go figure out what is required for you to get there. What Kristen just told you is kind of this goal setting process that we've taught. We learned it from Brad Stolberg, and we've taught it for a while. Figure out the goal, right? Which is the first thing. Then number 2 is figure out the steps required to reach the goal. And then number 3 is forget about the goal and focus on the steps. And if you just wake up every day and focus on the steps, what's got to happen today? Jenny told you about the number of contacts you got to make. Kristen is focusing on a number of appointments scheduled. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you, but go focus on that process once you've figured out the goal, and you'll be in good shape. Let's keep it going. Yewande, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So just wanted to talk a little bit about consistency. There's so many ways to get leads, to get listings. And I see that a lot of people get very, I would say, distracted, because they're talking, there's Aspire, there is Open House, there is, just picking up the phone, so many things to do. But if one dissipates energy trying to catch or work on all the methods, you eventually find that you don't accomplish much. So in terms of leads and listings, from my experience, consistency is key. So just identifying 3, 4 different ways of getting the leads and the listings, and just focusing on them, going deep on them, rather than going through every method that anybody talks about. That, I think, will get a lot of work done, number 1. Then number 2, just being able to focus on a market, on a niche market, something that you have affinity with, something you have interest in, and just pursuing that market with a passion makes a lot of difference.
100% accurate. Thank you. That's a great share. Alex, you get the last word this morning. Good morning.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, James. Good morning. I'm actually on my way to the post office to do one of my first mailings ever around my listing. And I've been in the business six years, 200 letters going out to neighbors of a listing. I wanted to share something my TL just like blew my mind with recently around the triangle of listings, leads, leverage. And what I've always, assumed was like, hey, you get enough leads, and then when you get enough listings, then you leverage. But he shared with me that like people can look at it a little bit differently. So if you are heavy on the lead side of things, the leverage is the only thing that matters, right? You leverage the amount of leads you have to go get more listings. So if you have a bunch of people, you have a bunch of buyers, you leverage them to the public, leverage them to the community, leverage them to the neighborhood to get more listings. And then vice versa, if you have too many listings, or even if you have no listings at all, leverage the listings to go get more leads. And the way you do that is if you have the inventory, obviously they're coming to you, you're leveraging that. But also if you don't have any inventory at all, your office has inventories. The open houses are leveraging the listings that are already on the market. And that's how you go get more leads. So it actually really changed what the triangle meant to me. And I think a lot of people can really benefit from that. Like, leverage is the bottom. If you have too many leads, leverage leads to get listings. And if you have no leads or listings, leverage the listings available to go get more leads. And I think that simplified it for me.
How many of you think Alex is pretty smart and he should share more often? Put it in the chat. Alex, that was great. And thank you for safely arriving to the post office, because people always text me when I let people talk and drive at the same time. So I'm glad you've made it safely. We're going to continue this tomorrow. I think there's a lot more to unpack, especially on this 15 to 25 cell listing piece. And what does it take like to do that? We're going to do that tomorrow morning, right back at the same time, 8 o'clock Eastern. But I also want to remind you, every Monday morning, KWRI releases the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast with Jason Abrams. Listen, today is perfect for what we just talked about. He interviewed Jennifer Young out of DC, all about her touch program to our database that's getting them 500 to 600 units a year because they're doing regular touches, and they're sharing the whole deal. Her video newsletters, her monthly seller seminars, quarterly print newsletters, quarterly calls, bi-monthly fan gifts, client events, and so on and so forth. So if you're into that sort of thing, wherever you find your podcast is where you can listen to it. Jason and Jennifer on her 33 Touch program today on the MREA podcast. And we'll be back tomorrow to take this a little bit further, because I think there's a little bit more to unpack from what we just talked about, and more of you who want to share. So come back tomorrow. Don't just attend on Mondays. That's it. We're out of time. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Have a successful day.